Hey again, this is us finishing up the Chapter 6 Test A key. We left off with simple interest, and that's problem number 16 through 19. So problem number 16 asks us, an account earns annual simple interest. Find the interest earned or the time. So the first one's kind of tricky. I'm going to leave number 16 to do after number 17. Number 17 is the usual one that you would see as a first example. The simple formula is I equals PRT. We remember that I stands for the interest. That's extra money that you get if you're the person with the principal. The principal is the money at the start. But if it's the bank's money at the start or the credit card company's money at the start, they get the interest. So interest works both ways. Then you find the interest rate, that's the percent number. You're going to change that to a decimal, and then you're given the time. Now the time, it's very important that's in years. If it's not in years, you have to convert it to years. For example, 6 months would equal 0.5 years. 3 months is 0.25 years. But this one's really easy because it gives it to you in years. So all you do is you take I equals PRT, and you're going to be multiplying the three numbers together. The principal was $12.50, so that goes for the substituting of the P. The rate was 3%. You do run away, and it equals 0.03, and the time is 4 years. You multiply together these numbers, and you get 0.12, and then 0.12 times $12.50 is $150. That's the interest, the extra money. So the idea here is if you put $1,250 in the bank at 3% simple interest, after 4 years, you'd have an extra $150 called interest that they would put in the bank for you. Next, let's jump to number 16. Here they tell you the interest you earned was $84. So how long would it have to take to earn that $84? Well, if you only started with $600 in the bank, it would be $600 at 7% interest. That's a great interest rate. You can't find that now, but we understand the concept here. Move the decimal twice and you get 0.07. So 600 times 0.07 times the time, the t. We don't know the time. That's the missing thing. So we're just going to use the variable t for time. Now, let's make those a little bit more t-like. If you multiply 600 times 0.07, you're going to get 42. So 84 equals 42t. Just like we did with the other parts of the chapter with proportions, you divide by the coefficient, the 42, the thing that's in front of the variable, coefficient, variable, divide by 42 on both sides. So 2 equals t. So 2 years is how long it would take. Number 16 answer is 2 years. Number 17 answer is $150. Now here they're going to add one last piece, but this is the most real life situation. An account earns annual simple interest. Find the balance of the account. So if you're doing simple interest, I equals PRT, 250 is the principal, 4% is the rate. You change it to a decimal, so you do run away, it equals 0.04 and times 1 year. You multiply these three numbers together. Whenever you have letters right next to each other, it means to multiply. So you multiply these three numbers together and you get $10. That's the interest. But they don't just leave the interest in the bank. You leave the beginning part, the principal, in there also. So to find out the capital B balance, you're going to take the interest, the I, plus the original principal. So it's like BIP. The balance equals the interest plus the principal. So $10 for the interest, $250 for the principal. The total balance you would have in the account is $260. Next, I equals PRT. Principal is $2,000, 9%, you're going to turn to 0.09, and then 6 months. Again, 6 months is 6 out of 12, which reduces down to 1/2, which reduces to 0.5. Remember what you know from your must-know skills. So this is equal to half a year, 0.5. You multiply those together. 2,000 times 0.09 times 0.5 is 90. Then to find the total balance, you have the interest is $90. Add the $2,000 you started with, and your total balance in the account would be $2,090. Next page. Number 20. The price of your favorite brand of jeans was $35 last month. This month the price is $42. What is the percent of change from last month to this month? This is exactly what you will see on the MAP test and the CASP test. So let's make sure you know what to do. First off, you're trying to find the percent of change. How much did the price change? Well, it changed. It was it's now $42 and it was $35. It changed by $7. It increased by $7. You need to know that percent of change, the difference, as the numerator. You're going to find P over 100, the percent of change, is 7 out of the old price. It went up by 7 compared to the original price of $35. You don't use the 42 here. That was the new price. You start with the original price that you started with. This would be the from number, the original price, and it goes down on the bottom here. Now 7 over 35, if you see it, it reduces down to 1/5, which we know is 20%. But if you don't see it, that's okay. Remember, the shortcut works when you see it. If you don't see it, cross products always work. And we're going to talk about that on your essays that you have on the back side of the test. So P times 35 is 35P. 100 times 7 is 700. Divide both sides by the coefficient, 35, and you get 20. Since you're finding the percent of change, it's 20%. Number 21. This is a great thing to know. If you do not know how to tip properly, people will not invite you out with them. If you are the person that is paying the wrong amount and leaving others to pay your portion or feeling awkward about it, they won't invite you out. So this is a really important life question. You go out with 3 friends for dinner. So there's a total of 4 of you. What is your tip amount if you want to leave 18% of $65 total? Now this is a little confusing for some. Your tip amount, if you were thinking that you and other people are splitting the tip, sorry about that, that's not the question. So really the question would have been, what is the tip amount if you want to leave 18%? So let's change that right now. What is the tip amount if you want to leave 18% of $65 total? So we're going to change the percent to a decimal by running away twice, moving the decimal twice, and equals 0.18. Of means to multiply. It's always the code word that means to multiply. So 0.18 times 65 equals 2 decimal places, move over 2 twice, $11.70. So that is the final answer, $11.70. So number 20 was a 20%. In case you wanted to know, it was an increase. You didn't need that part, but now you know. The jeans went up by 20%. Woo! That's a big jump, but it happens. And your tip amount is $11.70. Look at that proportionally. That's a good size tip. If you're leaving like $1 or $2, your service people are not going to be able to pay the 15% that they need to owe, or whatever amount that they need to owe for their taxes. So think about leaving a tip and doing the math. Don't be lazy. Make sure that it works. Now we're on to the essays. I just put some highlights on here because you can write it in a lot of different ways, but the main answers we were looking for were just this easy. So simple. So it was 4 points for this first question. What are 2 ways to solve for proportions, and what is the main strength of each way? So the 2 ways are the shortcut, which is actually using a scale factor, where you multiply or divide, and you see the connection to fill in the missing variable. We love this because it's faster and easier. The other way is using cross products to solve. Why we love cross products is it always works. It'll work with decimals, it'll work with fractions, but anytime the answer is not easily seen, shortcut doesn't work, then for sure cross products will work. Last essay, or the second essay, last question on the test. Compare and contrast finding the markup and the discount. What steps are the same for both, and what is different? So again, you could look at page 65 in your ISN. That tree map is really great to help you synthesize your thinking. That's why it's called a thinking map. And the things that were the same were on the top part. You convert the percent to a decimal, moving the decimal twice, and then you multiply it by the cost. What was different is for the markup, the amount is added to the cost, and then it's called the selling price. And for a discount, the amount is subtracted from the cost, and then it's called the sale price. Remember, it's always good to get things on sale. You get more for your money, so you want to watch out and be aware of those things. Thanks. That's all for the Chapter 6 Test A discussion. Remember, if you need to still do your gold corrective for Chapter 6, please do so. You still have a week to do the green Chapter 6 retest, and that's the best way to improve your grade. You're also studying up for your map tests. You want to make sure you're doing your best on those. That's next week for us right now. And I know you guys will do a wonderful job. Thanks. Bye-bye.